We begin this morning with the death of author Maurice Sendak. He was 83. He wrote the seminal book, Where the Wild Things Are. It changed the face of children's literature forever. Things were not always rosy and bright in that world, but they were always very, very real. And we have Katherine Rosman with us right here. She interviewed the author last year when his latest book, Bumble Artie, had come out. This, too, a book that was not so rosy and bright, but again, very, very human, even though it was about a pig.
It was. We spoke to him well before the book came out. Just when he was finishing it, it took him about 3 years to illustrate it. It was the first book he had both written and illustrated in about 3 decades. And it definitely had a darkness to it. It was about a pig whose family had never bothered really to celebrate his birthday, and so he threw himself a 9th birthday party. But in the very beginning of the book, his parents, pigs, get eaten. They get killed and
right.
eaten. And when I interviewed Mr. Sendak about this, he said they were such successful pigs, so focused on their career, that they met the ultimate demise.
Is that a warning sign to all of us?
Yeah, it's like a working mother. Loved it.
And he illustrated many. I mean, you spoke to him out of his home in Connecticut, where he worked alone in a lot of solitude. He provided, though, the illustration, the story, or both, for more than, I think, 100 titles.
He was incredibly, incredibly prolific, and at early points in his career, I interviewed his editor as well. He was putting out at least 2 books a year. Things slowed as he got older. Bumble Artie actually started as an animated short produced by Jim Henson for Sesame Street that he did in '71, and the idea of this little boy, he was a little boy in the short, never left him. And when I asked Mr. Sendak why he changed Bumble Artie in the animated form from a boy to a pig in the book, he said, at their core, all boys are pigs.
At their core, all boys are pigs. Well, but perhaps obviously his most famous work is Where the Wild Things Are, and the characters in there, again, they weren't always easy to be around. They could be snaggletooth, they could be mean and wry. Let's take a look at a clip from the movie that was made off of that book.
It's our family. I hope you can see how excited they are to have a king. Sometimes they have an odd way of showing it. I mean, they act weird, you know, and can hurt other people's feelings.
Ira, my love!
What?
Come here.
Oh, that's Judith and Ira. They're in love.
You see the kid laughing there. Now, Sendak was born in Brooklyn. He struggled with illnesses a lot through his childhood. He also had a great fear of kidnapping after the kidnapping of the Lindenberg baby. And you saw that sort of come out in his works. When you spoke with him, did you get a sense that, you know, that he was sort of processing things from his childhood all the way through his career writing, Katie?
Well, certainly the idea of neglect was one that was foremost on his mind, insofar as you know, he told me in this conversation that we had. And I think the darkness in his books, it's reflected in the drawings, but it's also in the idea that a lot of these kids are on their own.
Right.
And he said that he's very taken and concerned and sort of hooked into the idea of children being neglected, and that he strongly disagreed with criticism or the sort of characterization that his books were dark, or too dark for kids, because he said the idea that children don't face and understand sadness is facile, and he wanted to express to kids that he understood that they had sadness in their life and that they felt isolations and alone.
And new fear. I mean, you can almost see his work influencing works today, even like The Hunger Games. We're having the same conversation today. Is The Hunger Games too dark for children to be reading?
Right.
And he would have argued that kids already face these fears, and he's putting them in an animated way to help them process and work through that.
And let them know they're not alone. Also, you know, as alone in your bedroom as you feel, here's this guy Max, who's sort of sent to bed without dinner and has this incredible fantasy life. And I think that definitely is a part of his appeal, both to kids and to parents, because there's a realness to the fantasies.